Welcome back, Endgame community. I'm Pierre. He's Chris. Now we're here to help you with some more draft prep for fantasy football. We're going to talk about some players coming off major injuries that we are just avoiding in drafts and who you should pick instead. These could be teammates or guys going around similar ADP. So let's get into it. Now, if you've been part of our mocks throughout the offseason, you know the guy that we typically avoid because he's still going too high is Chris Godwin. You know I love Chris Godwin, but I don't love any player coming off ACL surgery, and he's going at pick 62 overall. That's just way too high. And he had his surgery, remember, on January 2nd. There's almost no chance he's going to be ready for the season when it begins. All right, so Chris, who should we be pivoting to instead?
Well, if you want a Bucs wide receiver, I say just pivot to Russell Gage. And people are kind of on the fence about Russell Gage right now, but I've seen his reception perception. It looks really good as far as what Tom Brady likes and what this offense needs without Chris Godwin. No, Russell Gage is not some, elite wide receiver, but he doesn't have to be where you're drafting him. He's a great separator, which is what Tom Brady likes. If you get open, Tom Brady is going to hit you, and he's going to fill that Godwin role. Not as good as Godwin, but well enough. If you don't really want Russell Gage, if he's not your flavor, there's some other receivers there like Elijah Moore and Devonta Smith, who I really like this year, who are going in that same range, who don't have the risk of coming off ACL. So yeah, just no reason to take Chris Godwin here. There's other receivers in this range I like just as much.
Yeah, look, you've got to like Gage regardless of what you think. Remember, he's going from Atlanta, which was, of course, one of the worst teams in the league last year, to Tampa. And look, Tom Brady didn't come back out of retirement to hand the ball off. He led the league in pass attempts last year. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of targets heading Gage's way. But I like Elijah Moore. I think he's still being a little undervalued. You spoke of reception perception. Moore was one of the top 20 receivers in success rate on the outside. People think he has to live in the slot in order to get targets. He doesn't. He's just a really good receiver. And even though Zach Wilson maybe not be there yet, he's still going to have to throw the ball quite a bit because it's the Jets. And I really like Elijah Moore. That's who I'm taking more often than not. All right, here's a guy, you know what, I don't think it mattered that he was injured or not. Even before all of this, even in his rookie season, Chris, you were saying, I'm not drafting J.K. Dobbins. And so far, that's proven to be wise. But J.K. Dobbins is still being drafted like an RB2, even though he tore his ACL. He might be on the PUP list to start the season in training camp. Why are we still drafting J.K. Dobbins? And by we, I mean everyone else, not us. Why is he being drafted so high? And tell me who you're actually drafting instead.
Well, I don't know why he's being drafted so high. I don't have an answer for that. You have to ask the people who are drafting him. But there's no Ravens running back that I'm targeting now because remember, Gus Edwards also tore his ACL. I don't really like him. I know you're kind of sort of, into Tyler Beatty, but we'll see how that goes. I'll tell you the guy I like the most for the Ravens now is Lamar Jackson because he's going to have to be this entire offense pretty much. He's going to have to obviously be the quarterback throwing the ball, but he's also going to have to run probably more than he ever has before because they're not going to have much of a running game. So to me, Lamar Jackson is a top 5, top 3 bounce back quarterback for sure. And then if you really want to draft a third-year running back who hasn't really broken out yet, just take a gamble on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't think J.K. Dobbins has more upside than Edwards-Helaire, even if Dobbins was healthy. Edwards-Helaire is not coming off an ACL injury. So if your thing is like, I just want to take a 5th-round running back who hasn't broken out going into the 3rd year, just take CEH then instead of J.K. Dobbins.
It'll take some convincing to get me to draft CEH there. I've never been fully sold on him. I just take Eli Mitchell, right? For some reason, the starting running back San Francisco is being undervalued still. I would just take Mitchell, call it a day if I'm taking a running back there. But you are right. I'm big on Tyler Beatty, but that's just a late round flyer. One that I think is worth taking, though. All right, now let's get into Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas, whether he plays or not, who knows? You want to roll the dice and hope that his ankle is fine and that everything goes wonderfully in New Orleans? Be our guest. We're not doing it. This is a guy who still is not even fully participating, and these videos of him running routes, not enough to convince me to draft him. He's being drafted in the 70s. Why? Okay, so we're ignoring Thomas. Instead, who are we taking?
Well, I would just rather wait a little bit and get his new rookie teammate, and that is Chris Olave. This guy can run every single route. He can separate at every level. He can beat man, zone, and press. I mean, he's everything you want in a wide receiver. And I really do feel he's going to be the wide receiver one in New Orleans this year, even if Michael Thomas is on the field. I don't think Michael Thomas is even going to beat out Jarvis Landry, so I'd be okay with Jarvis Landry over Michael Thomas as well.
Yeah, not at all. Look, I would say if you're at that range going to take a receiver you're afraid might miss time, why not just take DeAndre Hopkins, who will be 100% healthy and ready to go and motivated when he comes back from his 6-game suspension, and he's tied to Kyler Murray, and he's going to be the number one receiver in a good offense in Arizona. I would rather just take Hopkins, bite the bullet those first few weeks, and then you have him when it matters most, late in the season. All right, now on to the Cowboys. Michael Gallup is another guy who is being drafted as if he just wasn't injured. He had his ACL surgery in early February. That wasn't even that long ago. Okay, but we're acting as if he's just going to be ready for the first month of the season. Okay, so instead of drafting him and taking on all that risk, who would you rather have instead?
Well, if we're looking at guys going right around his range, I like Tim Patrick in Denver. Obviously got a huge quarterback upgrade, did well on the outside last year. Or just wait, I don't know how many more rounds, 5, 6, 7 rounds later, and get the new rookie in Dallas, and that's Jalen Tolbert, who is probably going to assume that Michael Gallup role while he's out, and may even maintain that Michael Gallup role when Gallup is back, because we know guys coming off of ACL usually aren't all the way back that first year. So if you really want the Dallas Cowboys outside receiver attached to Dak Prescott, just wait 6 or 7 rounds and get Tolbert.
I agree. I think Tolbert is the move. Look, Dallas is still a team that's going to pass a lot. I know they kind of want to get back to basics and give the ball to Zeke, but they're still going to pass quite a bit. Dak Prescott, reliable quarterback. So who else is there? Because really, James Washington, he's really more just a deep threat. So Tolbert is a really intriguing guy. You can get him several rounds later. I like Tim Patrick, but now his ADP is getting almost a little too rich. I think people are catching on to that idea of him. So Tolbert is the guy I would target. All right, and then let's finish with James Robinson. I know, great story. He was great for you a couple years ago, but now coming off an Achilles tear, not just ACL, but Achilles, and we know that for running backs can be even more devastating. All right, remember, Cam Akers is an exception, all right, and he didn't look that great last year when he did return. Also, remember that it was week 16 that Robinson got hurt, late in the season, so when he does come back, is he going to be the same Robinson? I doubt it. He's not going super high, but still people are drafting him regularly. So instead of wasting that pick on a guy who might not even play, and if he does, might not be any good, who would you take instead?
Well, I think first, you need to be higher on Travis Etienne. And by you, I mean everybody watching this, because Travis Etienne is going to be an every down running back in Jacksonville. And yeah, it's Jacksonville, so his ceiling will be somewhat capped, but he's not really being drafted as a guy who's going to be an every down role. But as far as pivoting off of James Robinson, I mean, there are guys here I like more than him, like Darrell Williams, Jamal Williams, guys who are also, in a backfield with another talented back or another kind of lead back. If you want to take a guy who has torn his Achilles and is in a similar situation, you can just go with Marlon Mack, who's kind of in that same situation, not competing against, necessarily a lead guy, more like a rookie and a very old veteran who's probably not very good. Marlon Mack could actually win the job in Houston. That's definitely a possibility. So any of those guys seem way better than James Robinson, but really anybody is better than James Robinson. I don't know how you can be drafting a running back coming off of Achilles in December. I just don't get this at all.
No, it's just not worth it. Like, honestly, you're almost just throwing away that pick. So I would say, of course, Marlon Mack, is my pick here. But also, let's think about Jacksonville. There's really nobody else there that you would go to. But if you're in a best ball draft, specifically, or a really deep league or something, look at Snoop Connor. He might be a dark horse here, a guy to get some touches in early downs. They did draft him for a reason. Played in the SEC, so there's kind of a deep sleeper for you. But I'd still rather have Tyler Beatty. All right, guys, those are some players we're avoiding and their alternatives. So remember, always draft smart. Don't go with the crowd. Go with what makes sense. We're here to help you win. Check out all our other videos. We're here all off season long to help you draft wisely.